Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fire Pit. I'm Steven, obviously, and I'm here with my friend Kyle. If we go way back, you may notice that the quality of this episode, like sound quality and visual quality, is really excellent. And that's because Kyle is basically a professional at this and is letting us use his cool recording software for it. So, really grateful and excited for this conversation. Kyle, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good. How is your day?
The day's been a lot, but I'm very grateful that we get this time together. What should people know about you?
What people know about me? I mean, uh, there's a lot of things. Who's listening to your podcast? I could talk about so many things. There's so
Well,
many.
I've created a whole new genre of audio media called a friendcast. Even though a podcast used that as a title, I think I'm the first being like, "This is the genre, claiming it, deal with it." So there's a lot of friends from
Mhm,
various life stages, and then really anyone who's been following the musical journey over this last year.
mhm.
So there's probably some people you know mutually. There's probably some people who like you've crossed paths with for like
Yeah.
with the when you were at my house a couple times, and then there's
Mhm.
probably a bunch of people you don't know. But yeah, so you can go in a lot of different places with that question.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, okay, so, like, the question was, like, who am I and what do I wanna share about myself, basically?
yeah,
Like,
what should people know about you?
I think I'll answer that in the more poetic, abstract way, is I think what people know about me is I'm 31 now, so ancient. Ugh. But I think for most of my life, I've lived a pretty split life, of non-integrated self, and I have a poem about it where I, like, wrote about 2 different forms of myself, one that wants to do one thing and wants to do the other, one that's more like a good boy and, like, follows the rules and is, like, loves Jesus, and, like, all of that, and then the other one is just like, "I wanna go out there and, like, smash something." And I've been integrating those 2, and it's been scary, but it's been good. So, this poetry series is called What We Were and Are Now Undoing. I've been writing all of these since August 2nd of 2024. These are the poems all the poems I've written over the last year and a half, 2 years now. This poem is also a little hard to read because it has 2 parts, and there are I can even share my screen if I do this, actually, so if we have the visual for everybody. Uh,
I just want to say this is exactly my hope for what this podcast is. Like it's continuing a conversation that we would have if we were in real life in the backyard around fire pit. And this is the stuff that happens. One
yeah, okay,
open-ended question, and then here's a poem that is deeply connected to that. And now we
yeah,
get to. I mean, what an amazing way for someone to get to know you.
yeah, okay, so this is a long poem, but here we go. Um,
I'm
so
buckled in.
if you're, watching the video medium, you can see that there's 2 different columns here, and they say similar things. They have a similar structure, they're the same length, they use some of the same phrases and lines, and then there's, a part at the end I can go over. So I'm gonna read the 2 columns, separately, and then, have the ending lines together, and then I will read the last part of the poem all at once. So this is called Proof in the Gooding slash Dear Brent. In my heart of hearts, I just want to not be alone. And to find somebody to love and hold and cherish and travel and unravel and be okay. Who knows me deeply, who values faith and the gospel and radical generosity, is proof in the pudding just how real is the great I am. In my heart of hearts, I am afraid that I am just perpetually exterior because I wasn't enough to make it to year 12 or 13, and that feels fucking stupid. Because what 24-year-old can hold back the tide, incessant, trauma groceries that were purchased stored in our refrigerators before we were even born, that we only found in our bottom left side drawer of our freezer, now thawed, with water pooling all about her like Cuba Gooding in Pearl Harbor. I'm dying off screen. In my heart of hearts, I just want to anything that moves and to find somebody to love and hold and dominate and unravel and dazzle and be okay. Who knows me deeply, who has you gawking at how docile and radically hot she is, proof in the pudding just how sexy I am. In my heart of hearts, I'm afraid that I am just sexually inferior and that I wasn't enough when I was 12 or 13, and that feels stupid because what 12 or 13-year-old was ready for middle school pubescent drama coteries that was found bloated and gored by peer educators before I could even be warmed, that I would only be found pleasing to the core if I liked Weezer and Gavin DeGraw and looked like Taylor Lautner or Cuba Gooding in Pearl Harbor. I'm dying off screen. Dear Brent, thanks for being willing to listen and receive my email. I know it's all part of the gig of therapy and counseling, but I'm grateful nonetheless. Emotional labor is emotional labor regardless. My father-in-law sent me an email asking me not to be too hasty. Dear Kyle, I feel like I will regret if I don't reach out to you now after hearing that you plan to sign papers in October. This is why I'm reaching out to you now. Plead with you to slow things down and wait on God. Hey Dad, being your son/son has been deeply personal. Healing, profound. God, the Father, is a loving and kind God. That is a truth that 6 years ago I could never have written with a conviction, and it is in no small part because of your deep love for me. That word Father is a little less sour on my lips now. Sour and candy instead of sour grapes. Brent, I think I have run my life so hard towards making sure I wouldn't be alone. In The Legend of Zelda, an old man tells you it's dangerous to go alone, take this, and hands you a sword for your adventures. I think these poems highlight just how I am of two motivations in minds. One just wants to let loose and have fun, and the other has values and is respectable and upright and holy. Both are afraid and just want to be known and not alone. How do I balance the two so both are heard? I don't lose myself, and how can I continue to move forward as healthy as possible? No answers as of yet, but eager to discuss on Monday. Looking forward to it. There we go.
Dude, thank you for sharing. I wish
Mm-hmm.
I could jump through the screen and give you both like a high five and a really big hug.
Yeah.
And I mean, 'cause dude, I've known you for a long time and I know that like the real and deep places that your words are coming from. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's an honor to hear them and just let
Yeah.
them, you know, hit and wash and
It's a poem that like I think I've written a lot of bad poems throughout my life. And this is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't think this is a bad one. I think it's interesting. I maybe you don't need the therapy letter, but it's the poem itself is interesting structure with the two columns and everything, and definitely rawer and more vulnerable than I've historically done in poems. That is less poetically masked, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts, feelings, considerations about the poem itself, other than that you want to just give me a high five and a hug?
the image I have as you are sharing it is like you're literally turning your body inside out.
Yeah,
You're
like that. Mm-hmm.
and to do this inside out motion, like you have to have two pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that desire for wholeness, consistency, integration, and the way that you're seeing different different things like weave together and then things that try to like break apart are that just it's just they come across it's I mean it does the it sounds like basic. This is the stuff that poetry does. Like you can't really put it into words otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But the feeling of that tearing apart and longing to be like sutured
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is like it's loud without and it's loud and in your face without actually being very loud. I think
Right.
because the it's just so raw and so animated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also one of those ones that I'm pleased with in the sense that it's hard even when I read it aloud. It's kind of hard to communicate what is going on the page because when you look at it from a visual perspective and you were reading it in a book, or if you're reading it on a Google Doc, or if you were able to see it visually on the screen as we were talking and stuff, you can see that the columns match up so that the poem is going down at the same time. So it's like both these things are true at the same time, right? And both of these things are happening at the same time. And reading aloud, I can only read it once on one side of the column, but when I if you just read it and look at it, they're both happening at the same time, and then they meet in the middle at the bottom like a U. But yeah, that part I was really happy with because I'm a firm believer that like um the proper beats. There's a couple pieces of art out there that are like could not be in any other medium or make a lot
Mm,
less sense in any other medium.
yeah.
And this is an example of that. Like I don't know if I'm like the Michelangelo's David or anything, but it's one of those things that's like hard to separate from the medium.
I imagine a recorded version of this just having one it panned 100% to one side being one of the columns and then vice versa with the other, and maybe really echoey or it repeats a couple times, and so you're just hearing it kind of cross back and forth, and it would be I imagine it'd be really disorienting to listen
Mhm.
to, but also pretty powerful.
It would be okay, yeah, you're right. If we were to do it as like a museum art piece, you would have 3 sets of headphones. One that does both,
Yeah.
one that just has a right headphone, and one that just has a left headphone, and then you would be able to listen to the left side, the right side, and then both. And depending on the order you chose, you can kinda get a sense of what's going on. That's pretty cool. That's a cool idea for an art exhibition of the poem.
Yeah, the other thing that strikes me about the poem, and again, this if this connects to my experience with the song I've been working on, but your poem feels less like, oh, I need some creative output. Like I need to get better at writing verse. It's like you're like, I need to like exercise, like not extra, but like exorcise some stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and and so just like that's that sense of I imagine the feeling after writing it, after reading it, it's like, whoa, so good to get that out.
Mhm. Yeah, it was like a fugue. That was one of those poems I wrote in like a fugue, for
A
sure.
fugue, yeah.
Yeah, 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 for sure. And a creative explosion that I could not contain, you know? The inner artist must come out.
I appreciate this one, just like hearing your heart and your vulnerability,
Mhm.
regardless, just because I love you and I love being your friend. But I also am grateful for it because I think we've had lots of conversations about like life, faith, God, emotions, being health, like all that, being whole people, and one of the themes of that is like if you aren't willing to or aren't able to experience an emotion over here, then that also mutes your ability to experience it over here. And so you have just shared like this such great emotional depth in this, on the more like challenging, difficult, painful, grieving side of things. But what I'm confident and excited about is like people will very soon see how that has also allowed you to increase like the joy and the peace and the excitement and the curiosity and some things that are a little more, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
didn't articulate that super well, but does that feel resonant?
I mean, I think so. I think so. Like, yeah, I mean, even going back to what you were saying earlier, there's a form of art that's really visceral and is something that you need. Um and the exploration of who you are. And I mean, I think it's interesting to see like how I've written stuff over time, and like even the series that I'm writing in that group, it's all a series of poems dealing with the same subject, and it's over the last year and a half, and it's been a part of my grief. It's been a part of my processing, my wrestling, etc. It's just interesting to see how things go throughout time, and you can kind of look and track stuff too. So like, I mean, art's interesting that way. There's a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff there.
Do you imagine that the true form of this this poem or even other poems that you've done is to be written or to be like spoken word type thing, to be recorded, to be like where do you see it living?
Uh, I definitely think like this one, now that you've given me an idea for the art exhibit version, I think you could do it in an art exhibit with the multiple headphone options. But otherwise, I think this particular poem needs to be read. Um, there is a way to perform it like a spoken word poem where I like kind of do a little bit of framing for it and then do it twice, the columns, and then do it third. But it sort of loses a little bit of the meaning because you don't get the double of it.
Yeah, I guess having two other people dressed like you reading those two at the same time and then you just do the third part.
Yeah.
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 It needed some tweaking, I think.
It would need some tweaking. Like if you had 15 minutes to perform it, like you could do
Yeah,
two different
15
people
minutes.
doing it at the same time, and then and breaking it up, and then me doing it just one. But again, that is sort of weird, and it takes a lot of time, and it's not a very entertaining product in that way. Like it's too long, in some ways too for a vocal performance, and it doesn't have all of those extra tricks and uh, tricks that you throw into a spoken word poem to keep people engaged. So I would definitely say the reading or that like museum vibe, because those two would allow it to be. Some of the other pieces in there are literally spoken in this series are spoken word poems or other things, and those are different.
The other phrase that comes to me as I'm hearing your poem this time is just the phrase like deep calls out to deep, or like real recognize real. I mean, just like, yeah, I'm not in your brain and in your body and living your life, but like I feel you.
Right.
It comes across, and so um, I feel like since we're in the deep end of our art and processing, should you just hear my song now
Sure,
and
let's do
then
it.
respond to.
Every year is not my year. That's all right, I'm still here.
The synth. Okay, nice. Okay. So reactions from me for the song. Okay, first I was like, dang, your producer's good. Like, this sounds really cool and professional and stuff. But I think that in reaction to that as well, I'm like, man, like, I remember you, like, us making stupid tracks on GarageBand in college, and now we're here, right? And I'm like, dang. But that's it. It also reminds me of, of like, oh, like, I was recording podcasts in our basement, and now, like, I'm doing that full time in some ways. I'm putting together bigger budgets and things like that to make all that stuff happen. So it's like, wow, okay, it's really interesting. And then, um, I think it's so interesting to think about how your style hasn't changed, but and your content, the heart of your content hasn't changed, but the content itself has definitely changed, and things have shifted and moved throughout time. But like some of the rhymes, I'm like, oh yeah, Steven's gonna rhyme like that, you know. Um, like you're using words like biped. I'm like, yeah, of course, Steven's gonna use words like that. But um, I think the
Yeah,
thing
and
that struck me,
pernicious. Yeah,
yeah,
pernicious
yeah, yeah.
is such an underutilized vocabulary word, guy.
You could say it's not perniciously used. The word pernicious, yes. I think the thing that honestly got me going though is like I was like, okay, like I hope hundreds of people listens to this song, right? But if nobody else does, but like your kids, right? Like as a time capsule of like you in this time in this year. Like I don't think I've ever thought about it like that. Of like, oh, okay, you know what? This reminds me of two. I've been jumping all over the place, but
Yeah,
like my
freely associate, Kyle. Go.
Mhm. my grandfather on my mom's side, right, wrote poetry, but it's all in Korean, right? So like I don't know, I can't read any of it. And at some point, I think this kind of makes me like, oh man, it'd be worth it to get it translated just to kind of see if he says anything like that I would want to connect with. As far as I know, it's mostly pastoral, like the clouds are pretty type poetry. I think good stuff, but it's going to lose a lot of its translation going from Korean to English. But if there's anything that's like even close to like a journal entry of a poem, I'd be really fascinated because like this is such a part of like a time capsule of your life at this time. So imagine like your kids in like 20 years being able to be like, oh, I can listen to dad's music. And like nobody was thinking at the time. And maybe at that point they'll be like, like they'll be like totally emotionally relating to you. Maybe they'll be like, dad doesn't get it. Like who knows, right? But like they'll have the time capsule of that. And I've never thought about my own work that way. It's like, I don't even, maybe it's because I'm like not like passionate about having kids, but like if I did, right, like people could read, my kids could read all my poems and they could see like, oh, this is where Kyle was. That's so fascinating. I like, yeah, or like even just like my nieces and nephews being like if I had, I'm like, and being like, let's say like, hey, because my sister wants kids. I'm like, this is what, Uncle Kyle went through back in the day. And here's the poem when I wrote back then. And they could be like, whoa, or maybe they'll be like, I don't even care about poetry. We're in the age of like, we're on ChatGPT 17.0. Like, we don't care about poetry. I can write that in my sleep or whatever. I don't know, but it's interesting stuff.
The It almost works like it's as a time capsule in both ways, or like at least a significant way to mark time. The first thing you said was, "Oh yeah, remember when we first started making music and collaborating on stuff together, and just how bootleg using
Yep.
GarageBand was. Like, oh, I found this free beat on YouTube. Like, I don't know how to use an EQ. Like, I'm just gonna do it."
Yeah.
And same with like podcasts we've done back in the day too.
Mm-hmm.
Of yeah, we'll just sit here and talk, and then no one listens. So
Yeah.
it's like, but yeah, but
We had at least 2 listeners, our moms.
seeing yeah, well, we interviewed my mom on one of them, so
Yeah.
yeah, she
Yep.
better listen to it. And but yeah, just like the way that because this stuff hasn't always been, yeah, it has never been like central to any of my professional work. It has more recently for you, but even just like the craft and the investment and stuff in it has become way more significant and quality. And I still think true to us in a really, really profound way. And so it's cool to see that, and like particularly to get to share that with you, knowing some of where like I have come from. And then also, like you're saying, going forward, that was one of the big motivations for doing this. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily like I'm just rolling in extra money to do this. Like, no, I want kiddos to know it's worth investing in something that brings you life and joy. And and that's the return on investment. It doesn't have to. I did the math of like how many streams you have to get on Spotify to make $1, and it's ridiculous. You know,
Yeah, it's a
it's
lot of
like
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of
like
streams.
it's a lot of stuff. So, but I for me, that's where the joy of the investment is getting to just share that and to model like whatever that thing is for them. Like, do it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know where the money's gonna come from, but do it. You know.
Right. Well, and like, I mean, again, your song has a lot of life in it and your life experience, what you're thinking, like what you're going through. I mean, you're talking about being in a pit of despair, right? And your typical style, it's not like you're in a pit of despair, so let's play a bunch of screamo music and sit and go, or like let's sound like, like melancholically horribly sad, right? Like, but like because your beats and your vibes, etc., generally aren't like, oh, this is the saddest, like, it's not like Something in the Way by Nirvana, it's not like but you still have all this stuff in there, and I think it's really interesting to think about that. And like generations from now, people being able to listen to like, oh yeah, like great grandfather went through that, and like here, and that's what he thought about the life and things of that nature. Like, I remember reading this article back in the day of someone whose dad passed away, and they were I believe they were queer, right? And their dad like passed away, and they had been able to maintain their really good healthy relationship, and their dad was a pastor, right? And then like after they died, this person got the ability to read through their dad's journal entries and read through the time of their life when this guy came out as queer to his parents, right? And just read through his dad's struggles and his conclusions of like, no matter what, I'm going to love my son, right? And I'm going to figure it all out throughout the process. And like then like this person, the writer of the article is just crying because it's like, oh my God, my dad chose me, like over church, like even in some ways over God, but like because like at the time he was not like necessarily down for everything that was going to be on there. But it's just really cool. Like I think like that sort of capsule is really valuable, and most people don't get that capsule for their parents. Like I love my dad, but I don't think my dad ever wrote journal entries that I'll be able to read, mostly because his handwriting is horrible. So like I don't think I'll be able to read any of it. Right? Like my mom I'll probably be able to read a lot about because she's like a saver of all these sorts of scraps and details. But like it's interesting to be able to get that. So
And yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to come across in the song is precisely what you just said of like, wow, this is pretty heavy, but also like this vibe is like
yeah.
really fun, you know? It's like, and I think yeah, it's like you want the method and the message to have alignment, and I think that this, I think a big props to all the people who helped me with this in the studio and
Mm.
beyond. Like
Yeah, who did your
it,
album cover art?
so that was my friend Bethany. You're in a little bit of podcast limbo because I haven't edited that episode and have it out, but I had a whole interview with her and her sister who runs an art gallery. But my idea for it was I just wanted to have someone react to the song and then draw whatever they thought of. And
Oh, interesting. That's really
so that
cool.
that's what it was. And
Yeah,
I
there's like this lake reflection with mountains and trees going down in reflection, and then up is
mhm,
like this like thinking pose, like distressed thinking pose skull of a person, like skeleton of a person with just their half upper body in like a surreal like uh abstract painting background with like almost spray painty.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool, man.
It's a cool cover. It was interesting. Mm-mm. Yeah, so that was their interpretation and reaction to what you wrote. And because the colors are very bright, but there's that darkness up top,
Yeah,
you know?
and well, there's the ash and the burnt stuff on the top, and then so there's something about you go through the thing and then if I see there's so much life underneath it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, because everything's dead up top and then it's in theory alive underneath, but then
yeah,
it's also reversed and flipped. It's interesting. It's really cool.
when you like bury a skeleton, it goes down, and then like life, there's some death and life stuff, and it's yeah, it blew me away. Honestly, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited for more of this, and
You're planning on making more music, yeah?
yeah. Well, I think this is a good segue to some of the stuff we've talked about recently. Um, well, before that, just give a quick recap on how we became friends.
Let's see. So you were the non-cynical, well, there's a more cynical view is you were the safest white person at University of Virginia for me to befriend.
Yeah, I'll take it.
uh but I showed up with a ukulele playing random songs and music and singing random tunes to people. And everyone was like, "We don't know what to do with this person. He's weird. Let's connect him with Steven. Steven's also weird."
Steven's weird too.
And then we became friends because you freestyle rapped over my
Yeah,
ukulele. We had a good time.
yeah. Instant. Pat. That's pretty much how you once you get that set up, it's let it go.
Yeah, it's just so funny that that was our first meeting. I still remember like you had like a t-shirt with like a burger on it or something, or like a Hawaiian shirt with like a burger on it, and I was like, this is like very college and kind of gross, but kind of cool, you know?
No, I thought I had my watermelon shirt from Taiwan.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could
yeah. It
be
was
wrong.
watermelon. I was like, yeah, watermelon shirt. Yes.
That
Yeah,
was the
yeah, yeah,
coolest. I still have that shirt. It's awesome. I should wear it on the next podcast. I do with the video. I'll wear the watermelon
yeah, yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man, so many good stories.
Yeah. So after that, he became my small group leader. We went to New York together for the first time and did like a bunch of like outreach, homeless outreach stuff, and did that. And you graduated and left me all alone. And then we eventually reunited in New York. And then you moved away again. Ugh. And then that is okay. You had a good time. And you had good reasons for leaving.
What was I gonna say? Oh, yes. Yeah, there's so many different like you mentioning that like when we were all in New York for the at the same time, the
Hmm.
ways that even just the little pockets of like creative stuff that we got to do. I
Yeah.
even think about just some of like the random like songs about emotions we did, like
Yeah, it was
stuff
fun.
like that. Well, it's just always been a through line of the friendship, and from day one, like that was a big part of it.
Before
Uh,
we jumped on this podcast, I would not have said that, but now absolutely I would say that. Yeah. Like our creativity and overlap of passions of creativity and producing audio stuff has been a big part of it, which is something I would not have necessarily categorized us as, but now here we are. And even in New York, like the very first time, we are making all those silly songs like that were all about emotions and we're great. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Totally. Totally. I mean,
So it's always
that was a very formative summer that summer too. Like that was, this is that show, the summer I turned pretty. That was the summer we turned feminist, you know?
I think I was down for feminism before that, but yeah, we'll take it. We'll take
We
it.
like, we
Everything.
thought we
Yeah.
were more than we were. And then, not that now we're perfect feminists, 100%. Like, we're the best. But like back then we were like, oh shoot, like we're not
I'm
realizing.
stupid.
Yeah, we're not
Like,
realizing all these little micro things that we're doing that perpetuate bad
yeah, like,
stuff.
oh, that wasn't very micro. Whoops.
Yeah. It was just like,
Like,
oh, it was definitely a new level.
crap.
Like, we were,
Yeah.
but like in some ways, it's a little uncharitable to us back then, but it's okay. Like, we were like, we don't beat anybody, we don't cuss anybody out, we don't over sexualize anybody, so we're feminine. No. We have to actively work to like rebalance the seesaw because the seesaw hasn't been balanced for 10,000 years. And we're like, you're right. You're right. So, yeah. 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 You want to keep talking about we kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah, we keep getting sidetracked. With per usual. Well, can you share a little about what you're doing, like your current creative endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll talk about how we've done a small piece of collaboration with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So the nerdiest hobby I have, probably. Well, that's up for debate, I guess.
Yeah, where does the
but
list begin and end on that one, Kyle?
yeah, probably the nerdiest hobby I have though is Dungeons and Dragons, just because I'm so into
More
it.
than Magic the Gathering? I think Magic's nerdier.
I spent more money on Magic, but I've spent significantly more hours playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, so also this was true 5 years ago. You could say maybe it's debatable too, right? Now you're probably right. Magic is probably even nerdier because Magic isn't cool. Like D&D, because of Stranger Things and like Community, is like cool. But like Magic is still not cool. Like
You have like 2 people.
yeah. Magic is also significantly less cool than like Pokemon, and Pokemon's cards and collection is not that cool, within the zeitgeist of things. So yeah.
I'll have you know that my collection is right where my finger is on the shelf.
For Magic?
No,
for
for Pokemon.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you have Magic cards? Are crazy.
I don't have enough. I spent it all on. No, I don't have time. Yeah, and yeah.
You spend it all on Pokemon and music?
Well, you can't like catch all the Magic cards. There's like a bajillion of them.
There's like 400,000 Magic cards. Yes, it's very hard.
No,
well, to be fair,
my most recent collector obsession has just been building back my CD collection. Like I have a pretty substantial CD collection already, but anytime I've gone to a live show recently, I buy so many CDs. It's so fun.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Anyway, yeah, so that's my hobby. It's one of my big hobbies. And a couple of years ago, I was challenged to do so by multiple people to like say, hey, like you could take this hobby you have like and make it into an actual show. If you're not familiar with first what Dungeons and Dragons is, it's basically playing pretend, but you're an adult, and so you have rules, right? Because you're an adult, and like if you're playing heroes as a kid and you're like, or like playing doctor as a kid, like that's basically D&D, but you have some rules. So instead of it just being like, I cure you with my stethoscope, it's like, no, like, here's how curing for stethoscopes work, and you can roll for this to see if there's a chance for this or this to happen or whatever. So
yeah, gamifies every element of real life. Basically.
Gamifies the elements of real life that need to be gamified in order to create fun and tell good stories. Yeah. So that game and the ability to play is pretty popular now. If you're familiar with TV shows like Legends of Vox Machina, or you saw the D&D movie, Stranger Things made this very popular and is based on Dungeons and Dragons. There's all these things that are out there that are Dungeons and Dragons themed or inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, etc. Um, it's become a lot more popular recently, so that's been there's an industry around it, and there's people who play. It's called actual play. People who play D&D, and you can watch them, and you can listen to their content and watch them play, and you'll get to not only hear a story, but you kind of get to hear a story told by your friends. But in this case, it's a parasocial friend, but your friends who are playing on this podcast, and they're getting to react in real time to story moments. So it's almost like playing a video game or watching a movie or being on a sports team with like that group of people and getting to kind of be along for the ride. In this metaphor though, you're like an equipment manager. You're not you're not actually playing in the game. But you get to do that. So I have a show called Thy Staff of Power, THY, Thy Staff of Power, as in thy rod and thy staff, from the Bible. And it is a church culture satire D&D actual play podcast, aka we play D&D and we make fun of the church. Respectfully, but we make fun of them. So for example, the season that's coming out right now as of this recording is set in a school / institution that is inspired by Harry Potter, High School Musical, and Wicked. And the school is believes that everything is predestined. And people are not allowed to deviate from their predestination. So there's a person who is predestined to be a fighter, a barbarian, someone who likes to fight with swords and axes, and all he wants to do is to sing and be a bard and sing songs. And so he tries to figure out if he can defy his predestined life to be a warrior and be a bard and a singer instead. And he becomes Troy Bolton-esque in this thing, and he's one of the main characters of the show. There's a bunch of other characters in there too, but I have a team of people who are filming and playing these games with me. And we just crossed, as of this recording, we just crossed 35,000 subscribers recently. Yeah, and we're just trying to build and see if we can make it into a full-time entity. And I have lots of reasons for why I'm doing it, but that it's the number one reason is because it's fun. But
you can tell a good story though. You have to be telling a good story.
Right. Like there's multiple reasons that I'm doing it, but like since we're talking about telling a good story, like there's the story I end up telling a lot to people is last season, at the very end of the show, after we wrapped the final episode and we recorded everything through for a week straight. We just recorded everything in a week, and all of my players and myself are basically crying. Right, one guy says, "Hey, like I asked him like, hey, like, are you okay?" Because he's like really crying. And in the game that we're playing, this guy was playing a character who struggled with doubt because everything that had happened in his life had been kind of bad, right? And if God is predestining his life, right, then it's like, how come my whole life is predestined to be bad? Can God be good in that scenario, right? And we've abstracted this in fantasy, right? So it's not all one for one, God is this and God is that, but we're using all these themes. And through this lens, right, at the end of the season, one of the characters wrote him a letter and said, "Hey, like, I know you struggle with this, but this is how I truly see you. I see you as someone who's brave, someone who is faithful, someone who, despite doubt, is willing to show up for their friends and to fight for what is right. And like, basically, I love you for that. Like, I love that about you." And he told us, like, okay, yes, like, this is not real, but I personally struggle with doubt and in faith, and I feel like I've been making all these wrong decisions, and I'm always catastrophizing. And this letter was not just written to my character; it was written to me. It was like God's letter to me through this game. And then we're all laughing because it's like, this is so stupid. It's a game, but it's also like, yeah, no, like, it's real. Like, we got an opportunity for him to go through within 4 days, go through a quote unquote year's worth of character development in a school and go from doubting to believing in a short period of time. And it really, really impacted him. And we all walked away with that. We had all been impacted in some shape or form, to challenge ourselves to have more childlike faith, to challenge ourselves to be honest and more raw with what we're thinking and feeling. And that was the impact of the game. And I think that's sort of one of the reasons we're doing it, and we're releasing it to the world. There's two big reasons off of that. One is I think Christians are uh, a little serious about their lives, and they aren't exactly fun. You know, it's not like I'm going to worship service and I'm like, man, you know what I want to do? Like, this is the funnest thing I've ever had. It could be refreshing, it could be empowering, it can be spiritually enriching, but I would not define the number one thing when I go to church or hang out with Christians to be fun. Right? Like, man, that was so much fun. Like, like if I was going to say, hey, you know what I really need to do? I need some fun in my life. My first choice is not to go to a Sunday service. My first choice is to like play a video game or watch a TV show I like or whatever. These things are more fun. So we're going to be put stuff out there because we want things to be fun. But also, the second part is C.S. Lewis has a quote that through fantasy, we can remove the stained glass associations we make in order to with concepts in order to find the truth that is underneath. And he wrote that as a reason for why he's writing the Chronicles of Narnia and like the Screw Tape letters and all that stuff in the first place. That is sort of what we're doing here as well. We're trying to use fantasy to remove the stained glass associations in order to tell good stories and get to the truths and hearts that are deeper underneath. So anyway, that was a long-winded explanation, but there you go.
It's awesome. the how do you if you don't have time to go into the whole C.S. Lewis quote with someone, how do you shorten what that is? Like fun, and then what's like a one word of what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Like suspending disbelief or
Fun and like cutting truth or authentic truth or yeah, something like that.
you get through all the you get to the core of something.
Yeah. It just cuts out all of the junk, right? And because you can kind of, I mean, again, it's like even with when we're going back to some of the music and the poetry and stuff that we're doing, right? Like if you listen to a sermon but it doesn't make you feel anything, it is less likely to impact you, right? And also, right, like if you listen to music and it moves you, you're more likely to do what it says or to believe in its things. It's why some people are really afraid of like, oh man, my kid is listening to this music. Is that going to really affect them? And I think there is some truth to that. Like what you put in, it was kind of comes out at the same time. But and there's other ways. There's some ways to resist that and all. But yeah, like it gets past our intellectual and gets into our hearts, into our souls, and that's what art is for in many respects. So that's kind of what we get there.
Would you say it's fair to call your campaign like parabolic in some way? Not like parabola, like the math, but like a parable, like.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
In
That is another way.
way.
That is another way to say it. We are doing Aesop's fables / parables in the form of a funky satire D&D show. But yes, yeah, we are doing parables. Like actually, literally for the third season, the upcoming season, TS3. If you happen to be a fan of the show, you don't want spoilers for what's coming out in like 6 months, to like 9 months. We'll see how well we do in the editing room. But we're gonna do the prodigal son. Like it's gonna be the prodigal son, but in this case, spoiler alert, the prodigal son is the Avatar, and the older brother is Zuko.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, but like
we're gonna be some fun IP to deal with.
Yeah, but sure. Like we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna use that popular IP to get people's attention, and then we're gonna tell them, and then we're gonna tell them a parable about what does it mean to follow. The pitch that I have for this one is, for this particular season, is what does it mean to be good in a society that associates power with goodness? Right?
Come on now.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna have our heroes explore what does it mean in that sort of world. And where people are equating power with goodness, and in this scenario, power meaning spirituality and spiritual gifts, and like spiritual authority with goodness, right? And just because you have spiritual authority doesn't mean you're good. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you have authority, right? So, so like Satan's the king of the air, right? So that's some form of authority, So, yeah. Anyway, we're that's what we're up to. But yeah. Prodigal son, literally going to use that parable.
There's so many different commentators and people who say that it's like the greatest story, like literally the greatest story that's ever been crafted.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck.
Yep, we're doing our best. We're doing our best. We're writing it all out right now. We're trying to do some work here. I just made it harder too because I was booking an Airbnb right now, and I cut our filming days down from 5 to 4 because the venue was so good. I was like, no, we need this venue, so we cut down the filming day one day, and I was like, okay, we'll have to truncate it. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll be okay. Yeah, like I think really quick too, like this is one of those things that I'm like becoming super passionate about for two different reasons, right? One is I was at a conference where a bunch of rich to do Christians were throwing around a lot of money. And I don't say that because they're doing it badly. Actually, there was some that I was really impressed by who were investing in like basically mutual funds for the African continent, and especially specifically sub-Saharan Africa, finding profitable ventures that build infrastructure and much needed things within the African continent and empower Africans, right? And to have jobs, right? Because they're building businesses, they're investing in businesses which are going to be local, which will create jobs, right? There's going to always, whenever you put money anywhere or do anything, there's always going to be something that's bad. But also, I was like, dang, that's a very interesting way to think about your money. I think it's a pretty noble way to think about your money, as opposed to just me investing in the American stock market and just kind of being like, the returns are similar, if not better sometimes, and you're investing in like the development of some other country, you know? And I'm sure there's some moral hazards there, but I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. When it comes to media, there was like $200 million moved in media at this conference. I'm just going to estimate around $200 million. And all 200 million was going towards people who were like 10 and under and like 50 and up. Right? They're releasing biopics about Noah and biblical heroes. Right? And biopics, I don't know about you, Stephen, but I don't want to watch biopics. My dad wants to watch biopics. Your dad wants to watch biopics. Like my dad wants to watch.
My dad does not want to watch.
Yeah. Like our dad's generation wants to watch biopics.
Yeah.
Like specifically our dad's type, right? Because that is a hugely male Gen X audience wants to watch like Lincoln. Right, my dad went and watched Lincoln. Right, he wants to watch Napoleon. Right,
is this the same demographic that's like, I just contemplate the Roman Empire like 3 times a week or something?
Yeah.
Someone told me about that, and I was like, I haven't thought about the Roman Empire. I guess I think about it whenever I do a Bible study.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a cheating for us because we're like studying the Bible. We have to think about the Roman Empire in the context.
Like, Acts of the Acts of Augustus. I thought of the Roman Empire. And
yeah.
How Jesus is better.
So yeah, but anyway, so like those are very male and very Gen X and above, right? And then there was children's content, which I'm pretty much all for. Like, you should probably make some good children's content out there. But that's it. And so that leaves kids from 11 to like 55. And no one's making any content for them, right? That's Christian and high quality. And also there's not like, besides like The Chosen and like House of David, which are like very Christian, right? Like, there's nothing that's like a little bit more on the outside of that. That's going to be like, hey, this has nothing explicitly on the outward surface to do with the Bible. You know, there's nothing even close to like Reliant K as, you know, as like in like terms of media, right? Because like, there's nothing, you know, there's no Switchfoot. There's just casting crowns in jars of clay, right? But for media. And so I'm like, this is like, what is going on? So like, I got more convicted there. And I was like, actually, I think what I'm doing is filling this gap. I want to fill this gap with content. I'm really passionate about that because there should be stuff out there that is going and tackling and talking about these issues. Whether you believe in the way that I express my faith or all of my theological positions is kind of besides the point. I want to actually have a discourse out there of media and things that can kind of hit this market of people that, you know, but we don't have it. And then secondarily, with all this, we are, I think, the power of play, right? And the power of creativity, right? Which are very in lockstep, is something that is truly, if you are created, right? One of the things that we can do in heaven that we can do on earth at the same time is play. That's not going to go away. and to create. I'm a firm believer we're still be able to create stuff in heaven. I don't know what we're going to create because it's like perfect, I guess, but like, you know, we'll still create stuff, you know? I would like to think by the time I get to heaven, right? And I'll be in heaven and I'll be like just as good of a rapper as you, Steven, because you know, you've seen me try to rap. I can't do it, right? And like, and you know, but actually both, and then all of us will be on the same level as like Kendrick Lamar because we're going to be perfect creators. And but we're going to all have our own unique styles and expressions, right? And that ability to play is healing, it's empowering, and I think it's inherently spiritual. And I think more of us should be trying to find ways to play in order to grow, heal, and explore.
Awesome. I Yeah, there's something about that it should be fun if it's if yeah, if the core of well, I just think biblically, if you're like reading through the gospels and there's here's the disciples, they follow Jesus, including Judas who betrays him later, but they're all hanging out in the desert, eating food, healing people, confronting evil, doing all this cool stuff. And it's like that's gotta be so fun, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Well, you know, like when Jesus
there
shows up
it's
back
just
on,
go ahead.
he shows back up on the beach and he's got the bread and the fish, right?
Dude,
One of the reasons, according to scholars, is that prove that he's a human being because he can eat, right? And so we get all like stuffity about it. It's like, yes, he is disproving Greek ideas around death and the fact that he's a ghost. He is 100% a man because he proves this through his eating and his fish. Also, I think Jesus likes to eat fish and
he's
bread
hungry,
because it
dude.
tastes good and because eating with your friends is fun.
It's the best, yeah.
So like I think he's doing both. Like I don't want to discount the like hyper serious, hyper scholared, you know, exegesis thing that we drew from the Bible. But also I think he did it because it tastes good and it's fun. Right? And grilled fish, bro, oh, it's amazing. I love it. So it's both, right? And I want to acknowledge both. It's got a creativity in the play. Anyway, I interrupted
Almost
you.
like you have to integrate, like you said somewhere earlier in this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that's been very exciting about this iteration of our collaboration is getting to when you started working on the second season, I was looking for creative ideas because I love the song that I got to release, and I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I have all these other avenues open for stuff because I'm going to continue to tend to that song and share it and all that stuff, but I want to open the door for more stuff, right? And so one of the things that I've talked about with you for a while was could I make some songs inspired by the staff of power, thy staff, not the staff. That's totally different. It's thy staff, not the. Anyways, it's by your thing, and that's been super fun. And the what we have so far to share, and I'm excited to be able to kind of tee this up here as a release in the next couple weeks. But I got to write the credit song for the second season, and I mean, I told Kyle I wanted to do this, and then like a week passed, and then as I was sitting down for dinner, I had a melody and lyrics come into my head, and I had to kind of capture it, and then I sent it off to you right away, and we you should share your side of it because it seemed like it gained momentum quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, let's listen to it. Then we'll talk about it.
You got the wizard, you got the ranger. What I mean to say is you got class. You way that you roll. I like the way that you roll. I like the way that you roll. And then probably 8 bars of self like I rolled a D1, I got a D2, and we're good, but you know, we'll make it happen.
Forgot about that at the end. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it is more meaningful to me now since we've done this podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is just like the way that our friendship has built and evolved
But
over
yeah,
time, and
what
it's
else
like,
would we be doing?
yeah, and it's not like we talk every day, but it's like, oh man, like this is like the special types of things that we're doing. Also, you know, I'm really biased. Like, I mean, this is like my favorite song you've ever written, but it's also because it's for my show, so it's like I'm pretty. And I've also listened to this song like 60 to like 100 times because I had to like sync it up to the end
Hmm.
credits we do and everything. And I don't know if you've seen the end credits or whatever, but it's all this like
Yeah, it's
yearbook
awesome.
scrapbooky thing that
Yeah.
I like hand built the whole thing. So I was like, I just needed this to be right. And like if you just for the record, if you watch the end credits, there are so many spoilers in there, but like you have to know the show in order to technically do it. But I put so many spoilers in there. So if you really want to sleuth, you can do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was such a cool thing to be able to empower artists to produce music that we get to put on the platform. And even if Thy Staff of Power never goes anywhere, even if we don't turn it into a multi-million-dollar media company or whatever, like we had an opportunity to collaborate, create art, and you got to be a part of my parable, right? And even just the silly playfulness of what we're up to here, right? One of the things that I think is really important about the song that I really enjoy is that at the heart of the show, because that's the end credits, that's the point. Like they do this in animes too. The heart of the show is actually relationships and fun and loving one another, right? And in this case, it's like in the form of someone having like a little crush on somebody because they like the way that they roll. Whether it's a friend crush or a crush, you know, you never know. But like I think that's like the heart of what we're talking about here. And especially in the age of AI and all these other things, I think the thing that's at a premium is relationships and the ability to have authentic relationships with one another. And I'm really happy and or proud that our song is one your song, but you know, our song is one that um is able to communicate that lesson, even if it's subconscious at the end of every episode. Especially like it's gonna be so wild when a couple of these episodes where like people are dying or like crazy stuff happens or things explode, and then it'll be I rolled the D1, you know, whatever, you know, like it's fine. And it'll be really interesting. I will have to make one important decision if I'm going to like not use your song for like the most dramatic, like one or two most dramatic moments in the entire show. Maybe I won't use it. I don't know. We'll just see. But I have to see if it's that tonally
I mean,
off. But
I could write something even more dramatic. I don't like the way that you roll there because it killed this person.
oh man, maybe. But yeah, so I mean, it's just really exciting to see it all come together, and I'm hopeful and excited about producing more. I mean, we have some plans to potentially do more music too in the future, which is great. So, um, quick thing too was like it was also part of the inspiration for me to turn all the musical numbers we put into the show and get real artists to start recording them as well, and it was a really cool impetus to do all that sort of stuff, and so we're able to support more artists and put stuff out there. And that's just really
Now, well,
exciting.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
I just remember sending that off to you, and then I made some other versions that were way more produced and fancy, and just going with the bare bones. And you even hear like the clack of the keyboard I have over here doing
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think it does hit the right vibe. It has that like that very nostalgic feel. And I think of any of the songs I've written, I mean, I think it has more potential. And I should say, I'm not writing stuff to go viral, but I think if anything, it does have more potential to go viral because it's so stupid. And how is there not a song already about that? Seriously, it's like you roll a dice and I like the way you roll. It's like that's it. It's just a stupid pun at the middle of it, but it's like it really does hit so nice. Like I've listened to it so many times as well.
Yeah.
And it has like that video game music feel where you don't get tired of hearing it over and over again.
Right. Well, and yeah, yes, like using the like relatively poor audio quality is sort of like almost like listening to it on an old record, right?
Mhm.
Is kind of the same vibe. That's kind of
Yeah,
the fun of it. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Okay, Kyle, I gotta go. So any closing thoughts or reflections that you have that you wanna share, and then we gotta do a part 2 at some point.
Sure, we definitely can. We could deep dive other things around art and what we think about it, etc. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would say, oh, you know, I'll also remember this moment just as a kind of final thing. Because I was about to say God made you special and he loves you very much. Bye. But I said that at national staff conference at
Yeah,
InterVarsity.
yeah, you did.
And I got a talking to afterwards. It was like, that was so unserious. You should have like spiritualized the moment or whatever. And I was like, that's what my co-host is for. They did that. I get to be dumb and silly. But also, yes, like I remember being so proud of both of us, but specifically like having this really important moment for myself, realizing in this moment as I'm emceeing national staff conference, like entertainment night, like our talent show thing. I got to call Steven up and do some crowd work and get some improv off the top of the audience's dome, like words that he's going to have to throw into a rap. And some of the audience was like, I remember someone yelled hippopotamus, and I said, okay, hippopotamus, and everyone's like, oh no, ooh, like this is the hardest word for Steven to use. I was like, Steven has used
Get outta here.
hippopotamus like 50,000 times in his rap. I picked a couple words that were like, I know Steven, this is a breeze for Steven, but everyone's going to think this is crazy, right? And like, you know, some other thing, something about theology, you know, it was like something like that, like transubstantiation or something. And everyone was like, right? And I'm like, Steven's got that unlocked. Like Steven knows this. And then so when we finally got to the rap, right? You got to throw in all the things. People were freaking out. I'm like literally doing like barrel rolls on stage, freaking out for you.
A good hype man, for sure.
Yeah, and just like losing it on the floor and like flagellating on the floor because I'm like, oh my god, he said the word, right? And I was just like, wow, this is so great. But I didn't even bring it up now, right? It was a moment of me realizing like I really, really, really like to be the alley-oop man for someone to dunk it from a creative standpoint, and that's translated into what I'm doing now and how I live my life in general. And that was like a key moment, and you're a part of it. So it was in the context of us making another song together. In this case, mostly just you doing freestyle, but I still set you up with the words.
It was so fun. Yeah.
Okay, but also it does help that you're like a not extremely tall, like pasty white boy up there, and no one expects you to be able to rap whatsoever. And like everyone in New York, New Jersey knew you could rap, right? But like, you know, there's like 2,000 people in that audience, 1,500 people in that audience. 1,300 of those people do not know you can rap, and they were all like, "Oh my god." Because people have to be skeptical of you when you go up there just because of the way you look and and it's like it's just not going to be. They're going to judge you based on the book cover, and you get to prove them all wrong. It was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a special time. Yeah, it's another like moment in time of our friendship. It's like, oh, that was a big deal.
It was like I'm blown away by that. I'm like, wow, like our creative crossroads have been at many very important times in our life, or been even formative for our lives. Because like EHS songs were very formative for our future health.
Oh man, so much good stuff. Well, man, thank you. This has been a blast. And friends, thanks for hanging out at Fire Pit. I will put all the links of where to find and follow Kyle in my Substack. He can probably make them pop up in this video and look really cool too. So we'll make it happen.
You can follow at Thy Staff of Power at Instagram or YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Thy Staff of Power.
Sweet. All right, until next time, friends. Peace out.